Hi everyone, I am reading Aberration by Naomi, Valkyrie, and Ellen Bishop, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. Enyaka. Another year of exile down, self-imposed exile, that is, standing here on the lake shore with the rocks solid beneath my feet. The breeze is chilly on my face. The scent of the season's change fills my nostrils, and I watch the sun sink lower on the horizon. I focus on the colors painting the sky and hear the soft lap of the lake water at my feet. Tomorrow is the 1st of October. I used to love this time of year because of the cooler weather and vibrant fall colors. Now, I look forward to it because it is the one time of the year that I can go to the mainland during the day. A deep sigh leaves my lungs, and the heat from my breath creates tendrils of vapor in the air. While I have grown accustomed to solitude, it is nice to be around other people, if only for a short time. I feel like I will be on the outside looking in from now on, but I like to pretend that I'm still a part of society. It isn't natural for a 17-year-old girl to be without a social life, but there isn't much natural about me now. I, Enyaka, Truman, am an aberration. Turning from the shore, I head back down to the path to the dock. In the fading light, I finish packing the boat I'll be using tomorrow with the rest of my luggage. I've been preparing for this for a week. I must have unpacked and repacked a dozen times. I only get 1 month a year to live like everyone else, and I plan to make the most of it. In spite of my excitement, I still need to pack light. The fewer things I have to keep up with, the less chance I have of accidentally leaving something behind when I return home. I can't afford to leave too much of an imprint on the mainland. Once I get everything safely stowed, I jump down onto the dock and head down to the well-worn path back to my house. It's dark now, but I can see just as well as I can during the day. The perks of enhanced vision, I guess. It took a bit to get used to it, but I've grown to appreciate it. Like when I have to use the bathroom during the night, as I round the corner, I take in the view of my home. To anyone else, it would look like a luxury resort. To me, it often feels like a prison or a tomb. The house sits up from the lake and into the hillside. My father wanted it to appear to have grown from the nature around it. The entire front of the house, which faces the lake, is made up of a floor-to-ceiling panes of windows. All day, they glisten in the sunlight. No matter what angle, they glisten. At some point in my youth, I made sun catchers for my parents for Christmas, and they hung them in the windows. It was like walking in a kaleidoscope sometimes. The crystals broke years ago, but the memory of the colors and happiness they brought causes a lump in my throat. I still face a longing to go back to the way things used to be. It's like feeling homesick, but for a specific time in my life. The house is made of a cedar wood logs, giving it a rustic mountain look. It has an upper and lower level, with the lower being part of the hillside. The path from the lake ends at the lower deck. By mandate from my mother, there was an outdoor shower installed to the right of the deck. I admit it was nice to have after a long day on the lake. To the left are the outer stairs to the upper deck. As I climb them, memories continue to flood my mind. The memories of the times when laughter and happiness filled this house. We had great family vacations here. Now it is mostly silent and lonely. Still, I'm grateful for this place. I have no idea what I would have done without it. I finish climbing the stairs and make my way across the deck to the French doors leading into the kitchen. Stepping inside, I rub my shoes across the mat and take them off. Even though my mother isn't here to remind me, I know better than to trek through the house in dirty shoes. I know I should eat something, but I'm too worked up to be hungry. Bypassing the kitchen in favor of a relaxing bath, I head into the great room with its massive riverstone fireplace. The whole concept of this house is openness and light, and the view from every window, the front and the back, are breathtaking. The lower rooms are more for storage and recreation. We have a game room, changing rooms, an extra bath, and a laundry/food storage/garage. When I was younger, my parents would have groups of people stay for the weekend or holidays. I never really made friends with the children who came with their parents, but I don't ever remember not having fun with them. Heaviness settles in my stomach. The memories weigh heavy, and the only thing I know to do is focus on trying to relax. I head down the hall on the west side of the house to my room. It is large and spacious, with the same floor-to-ceiling windows as those on the front of the side of the house. I have grown into it over the years. I can't ever remember feeling overwhelmed in it. This room became, and still is, my sanctuary. The carpet is deep, plush, and soft. It always feels like walking on a cloud to me. I honestly don't know how it has stayed like this for so long. Taking a deep breath and letting my shoulders relax, I head toward the bathroom. The thought of sinking into a tub full of hot water almost makes me sigh in comfort. I'm hoping the lavender and warm water will calm me down enough to be able to sleep tonight. Fingers crossed, as they say. The tiles feel cold against my bare feet, and I remember to turn the floor heaters on. I have to say this about my father. When he designed this house, he spared no expense on the small things. You know, like floor tile heaters. I love my father. The thought of him brings a small smile to my face and an ache in my heart. I can't wait to see him and my mother, if just for a little while. I may be a young woman now, but the little girl in me still needs a hug every now and then again. I lean over the tub and start the taps. After a minute or two, the steam begins to rise. It will take several minutes for it to fill. The thing is big enough for 3 people to fit in it and still have room. It's like my parents couldn't decide if they wanted a tub or a small swimming pool. Leaving the water running, I go into the living area of my suite to get my sleepwear. Using the landline, currently my only method of communication, I make a quick call to my father to let him know I'll be headed to the mainland in the morning. The click of nails on the hardwood floor of the hallway registers in my head, and I smile. Annie Alita, she's my only companion here. I'm pretty sure she is the only reason I haven't gone crazy. I end the call with my father and turn to face Annie Alita. Where have you been, pretty girl? Hearing the love in my voice, she trots over to where I stand and rubs her head on my leg. I rub my hand over her head and down her neck. She's all soft fur, beautiful silver eyes, and a big bushy wolf tail. Her beauty doesn't detract from her being lethal. It's something which would cost a foe dearly. I kneel beside her and bury my face in her fur. She smells so good, all wolfy-like in forest. With my face in her fur, I take a deep breath one last time, then stand up and finish looking for my clothes. She tilts her head, and my mind feels a short burst of images. The same as every day, she shows me her adventures to the forest. At least she enjoys it here. She wouldn't have much fun living in a city. Wolves belong in the country or running through deep forests. Unfortunately, she has to go with me tomorrow. I have no idea what would happen if we were ever physically separated by a long distance. It's hard for me to imagine my life before I knew of her existence within myself. I still wonder if she is an extension of me mentally, or a part of my soul. We are still learning each other, and I am still learning what our purpose is. So many unanswered questions. She feels my anxiety building as my thoughts roam and begins to whine. Her eyes are full of concern as she gazes up at me. The look in her eyes, now compared to the day she was born, is a stark reminder of her duality. The first time I ever manifested in Lita, it scared me shitless. I didn't realize what I had done at first. I had other issues to deal with, like being attacked in an alley and suddenly growing wolf ears and a tail. One minute, I'm walking home. The next, I'm fighting for my life with claws and teeth that didn't belong to a human, except that I was still human. Only parts of my body changed. Somewhere in the midst of the chaos, a wolf jumped out of my chest and ripped out the throat of my attacker, then jumped back inside of me. I can remember being stunned, breathless, and eerily satisfied. I vaguely remember the initial fear. Then after that, she was there, a different part of me fighting for life. For a while, I thought I imagined the whole wolf incident. There was no mistaking my mutation, though. While the teeth and claws faded, the ears and tail did not. I'm stuck in an altered state permanently, it seems. The worst part is, we have no idea how it happened. My parents, being scientists, ran all kinds of tests. There are anomalies in my blood, but nothing they can identify. After 2 years, they are still trying to figure it out. My father swears that something happened during the attack, but my attacker's blood showed none of the anomalies present in mine. Of course, they did all of their research and testing in secret. They didn't want me to turn into a lab specimen for overeager scientists who might lack a moral compass. Although I was only 15 at the time, they talked to me as an adult. We sat down one night and had a very hard but open discussion about my future. Because I was the one living with the ears and tail, not to mention a wolf on the inside, I got a say in our next plan of action. We all agreed for me to disappear until they could figure out what was happening to me. I mean, really, what choice did we have? It wasn't like I could go back to school or anything. This change was serious and it was very real. So, they whisked me away to our family island to keep me safe. I can't blend in with society on a daily basis, so we agreed solitude is the best safety measure. Honestly, I was fine with the isolation. I needed time to come to terms with everything. There are times it weighs heavy on me, like now, but I've accepted it and found ways to enjoy it. Knowing the bath is probably at a perfect depth now, I head back to the bathroom. I walk into a glorious wall of olfactory sensations. My nose is much more sensitive to smells now. After my change, I researched wolves and found out our olfactory glands can smell up to 100 times more than a human. This fact is wonderful for most occasions, but not so much for garbage and dead things. I step out of my clothes, put my hair in a clip, and immerse myself in the scented water of lavender heaven. The bath is bliss, and if anyone wonders, the answer is yes. Yes, it is weird lying in a tub with a fairy tale floating next to me, but it's my fairy tale, so I've had to get used to it. I lay back on the pillow attached to the tub and let my body sink deeper in the hot, steamy water. I watch as the tendrils of vapor rise and float into the air. I've created enough steam to fog up the mirrors. You know it's a good bath if the mirrors fog up. I cup the water and splash my face, rub my ears and massage my scalp. Water trickles down my face. Bending my knees, I sink beneath the surface. Even beneath the water, my wolf ears hear everything. I stay under the water for as long as my lungs will allow. Pushing with my heels, I come up out of the water and take a deep breath. God, this feels so good. I pull my tail out of the water, grab my rose-scented soap, and begin to wash. I look over and see Annalita lying in the doorway with her head on her paws, keeping me company. With the temperature of the water being perfection, I feel my muscles release the tension that has been building all day. These hot lavender baths always make me feel better. Now that I'm relaxed, an important and comforting thought occurs to me. Tomorrow is freedom. Chapter 2. Nyanka. I tilt my head toward the night sky and take a deep breath of crisp fall air. My first day back in the city was just as amazing as I expected. The smells, the sounds, and the feel of the hustle made me smile. I indulged in mouth-watering food, saw a movie, and perused the shops. I let myself feel like a typical 17-year-old, or at least what I imagined it to be. With the weather being cold, I can hide my ears and tail under hats and coats. If anyone sees fur falling off me, they would naturally assume I have pets. Plus, it's Halloween season and I can pass off any unusual appearance as a costume if I have to. At least I haven't had any incidents yet of people being too curious about me. I do what I have to do to stay off the radar. I returned to the house I've rented for the month. My parents secured the house through their contacts. The elderly couple who own it are living in Europe for the next few years. They rent it out to help pay the mortgage. We worked it out so that I could have the house every October. It's a beautiful waterfront home set into a quiet inlet off the main waterway. We're fortunate that the house came with a private dock for our boat. The owners keep their boat docked here too, but it stays in the boathouse portion of the dock. The house itself is a nice-sized cottage and very comfortable. Cozy, really. The view out toward the bay is magnificent. It's a quiet neighborhood with mostly older families and couples. Every once in a while, I'll cross paths with one of them. Luckily, they only wave, smile, and keep moving. Of course, there is always that one who can't seem to keep their nose on their side of the fence. I do my best to avoid those encounters. I'm too wired to think about going to bed. After securing the house and making sure the nosy neighbor isn't around, I let Annalita free. She's been a little antsy and needs the space, so I decided to take her for a walk. In the dark, she would be easily mistaken for a large dog. It took several minutes to convince her to let me put a collar on her. She doesn't like the restraining feel of it around her neck, but ultimately, she gave. We go through this every time I have her in the city. I know I should work with her more while we're on the island, but I hate putting the collar on her as much as she hates wearing it. Annalita paces by the front door and whines while she waits for me to put on my coat. I unlock the front door, grab her leash, and we step out into the crisp night air. In spite of the weather being chilly, it turned out to be a wonderful evening. After Annalita had accepted the collar and leash, she seemed to be content to let me meander at my leisure. I was taking my sweet time walking, wanting to savor every second we could be outside and free. Thanks.